you want more camber for your car but don't want to spend hundreds if not thousands of dollars on a decent set of coilovers, well, you're not alone. And I have the perfect way that you can do just that for about 10 bucks with crash bolts or camber bolts. And to start this process of getting more camber, you first want to break torque on the wheel's lug nuts. Then jack your car up and set it onto jack stands. Then remove all the lug nuts from your wheel and take off your tire, set it to the side. All right, moving into the wheel well, you'll find your strut, which is connected to your knuckle by 2 lower strut bolts, one at the top, one at the bottom. Now for me and my GR Corolla, these are both gonna be 22 millimeters and it's gonna be on both the nut side and the bolt head side. Once you find the proper socket for your lower strut bolts, you're gonna wanna take a breaker bar and break these nuts loose. And it's worth noting that these will take a lot of effort to break loose the first time. So if you're struggling with it, don't worry, they're not stuck on there. Just put a lot more effort into breaking them loose with a breaker bar. Now, being that my bottom bolt is facing this way towards the caliper, there's not a lot of room back here to put my breaker bar in with just the socket. So what I'm doing is I'm using the swivel adapter right here to be able to work around and get better leverage onto this nut. Once both of these nuts are broken loose, fully remove them and then set them to the side. As a side note, as you can see, these are pretty new looking bolts as this is a brand new car. If your car is older or your nuts are having trouble getting it taken off, then I recommend using a penetrating fluid of some kind, spraying it on the nut, around the bolt, into the threads. Wait a little bit, and then hopefully it'll break up the rust enough so that you can fully take off the nut. Now, when removing your lower strut bolts, it's important to note that you want to remove one at a time rather than both at the same time, and it's preferred that you start with the bottom one first, just because it's easier to get out. So go ahead, push on the rotor a little bit. As you can see, the bottom one just slides right out. Now take your crash bolt or your camber bolt and go ahead, slip that in, push on the rotor a little bit forward. Just like that, it's in. Now, as you saw, I put them in the same way they came out, but in this case, I do prefer having the nut on this side, so I'm just gonna flip the bolts on the other side, and you could do that. There's no harm, no foul done there. Now, if you're just doing your bottom bolt, then you're good to go. We'll just go ahead and patch it up. But if you're doing both the bolts or if you're doing your top bolt, the top bolt's gonna be a little bit trickier. So what I like to do is lift up on the caliper a little bit or the rotor in general, just to give the top bolt a little bit of slack. So go ahead, lift up the caliper a bit, slide out the bolt. While still holding the caliper, put your new bolt in. Once both of your crash bolts or your camber bolts are in place, go ahead and thread on the nuts again. Do not fully tighten and do not fully torque yet though. Now, as you saw, we installed crash bolts here, not camber bolts. So with the crash bolts, if you want the max amount of camber, you're gonna wanna leave these as loose as possible for now, and go ahead, push in on the rotor as far as it'll go, having a tool ready to go ahead and tighten down the nut fully. That's snug. Once the top is tightened down, do the same thing with the bottom. Now with both of these nuts properly secured, it's time to torque them down to spec. Now mine in the GR Corolla is gonna be 200 foot-pounds for both of these bolts. But depending on your vehicle, it might be something different. So go online, look in the tech manual or something, and get the proper specs for your lower strut bolts. So once you find the proper torque spec for your car, go ahead, torque down the bolts properly. As I mentioned earlier, these were crash bolts that we installed, not camber bolts. If you're using camber bolts, the process is essentially identical, except before you go ahead and torque down the nut, you're gonna wanna adjust the bolt head, because that is the way you're gonna adjust the camber with the camber bolts. Because on the inside of here, inside the little bore, you're gonna be turning the camber bolt and it's gonna be pushing this forward or back, depending on what amount of camber you want. And once you've adjusted the camber to your liking with the camber bolts, go ahead, fully torque down the nuts, and then you're good to go. Once the camber's to your liking, you got everything torqued back down under here, it's time to put back on your tire, drop the car from the stands, torque your wheel down, and then you're good to go. But I highly recommend getting an alignment from a professional after this because your toe is gonna be so out of whack, it'll just wear your tires down improperly and probably sooner than you'd like. So be sure, get it in for an alignment, or if you would like to do that on your own, I do have a video coming out here soon about how to properly string align your car, either in a garage or outside. And to be notified of when that video comes out, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you'll be notified of that video, as well as more GR Corolla content similar to this, and racing stuff coming to this channel soon. And leave your comments in the comment section down below. Until next time, guys, keep going fast.